worked for a time, but I personally want to focus on collecting this money. It's money that the town can use. It's money sitting out there, and so I've talked with Leanna, and I have started to use a system, accounting system. It's a free accounting system, just to do the invoicing to keep the grass separate. So when Leela from Public Works hands me her sheet that says we cut these yards, I can make sure that they're billed, and then we actually have a new part-time person in finance or in the finance office that is going to be working on that this summer. I'm going to show her how the system works, and hopefully we can increase some of that collections. And we can collect on the past years too. I've also got those records as well. So right now,
we need to point out that we do place liens on the property once they're billed and people do not pay within a reasonable period of time. The only problem with the liens is that they don't get satisfied until the property is sold.
Right.
And depending on the type of sale, if it's in foreclosure or bankruptcy, then our lien is kind of wiped away and we don't have the benefit of that being on the property.
I cover that as well in towards the end of the slides, but that is, if it's over $750, we do file liens on properties, and as of right now, we've got 16 liens out there on these properties. If it's in a certain bankruptcy or it goes into foreclosure, unfortunately, our debt is not the first on their list, so it gets wiped out for the most part.
Here again, being new on this for a year, I didn't know how to fill out a lien and what the procedure was. So I had to go to the courthouse in Covington and say, ma'am, I'm stupid. I need to find out how I file these liens. And she showed me. And we did file, 15 or 16 liens? So now we know. So we are going to do a little bit better system to get this money collected.
Absolutely.
But we go out every Monday morning, ride around town, look at grass for who hasn't mowed. And here again, it's up to sort of our discretion of whether it's over 6 inches or whether it's a foot. And you know when you go who hasn't mowed their grass. And here again, we have a lot of old people in town, all over town, and some of them can afford it, some of them can't, some of them are at the mercy of when they can find somebody to mow their grass. So, it gets done, but it sometimes, you have to plod a little bit.
How much does the town charge for having
The charge is right at $250 if it takes an hour. They charge for the truck, the 2 men who go and mow it, they charge for the trailer, plus there's a $150 civil penalty.
Now, the trailer and the mower, that's like $1.50 an hour. I mean, it's not excessive. The typical mowing charges are $101 is what it came out to this past year. But you have that civil penalty, which is in the code, is what's added to that, which brings it to around the $250 mark. So,
and that's a good incentive, because you get whacked with $250 to mow your grass a couple of times. That'll give you incentive to get boy next door to pay $25 to mow your grass.
Well, that's true, but you just said that some people can't afford the $25 to $30.
Well, and if it's an occupied, I have to send them a summons and say, I'm the bad guy. I'm gonna have to serve you a summons. I don't want to, because you're old and I know you can't afford it, but we have to by town code.
but we have not had to do that.
Yeah, we've not had to do that. There are mowing services in town that we can call. We don't like to, because I don't like to be accused of, giving one preference over another, but we let them know that there is mowing services in town. And this year has worked out. This is my first summer, so it was a learning experience. And I've learned a lot here in the last year. Being in code enforcement, you have few friends and a lot of enemies.
Well, he says that, but I think we work well together, and we try to work with people. I mean, it's in the long run, it's a lot less work for us if we can just, try to work with people in the neighborhood. So just quickly.
Excuse me. I have a question. Talking about grass and brush. grass and brush and trees growing up in them. They may cut the grass, but close to the houses.
Right, they're just gonna, because of the public works, they have other responsibilities too. They just try to cut back the grass and weed best they can. But it's ultimately the homeowner's responsibility to.
So when does that become an issue with the homeowner?
Well, they're notified by letters. We've had several, if they're vacant, it's hard to find the owners, is the problem.
And if we do find the owners, they're out of town, and they have to arrange for somebody to come and do it. And if they don't, a lot of times, there's not much we can do about it.
Actually, the code does not speak to overgrown bushes and other kind of growth, so it's not something that legally, unless...
Right. If it's growing up and is blocking the sidewalk for walking down like
Right.
West Ridgeway, if the limbs are overhanging the sidewalk or the hedge is growing out in the sidewalk, we'll send them a letter and then get Public Works to cut it, and we will send them a bill.
Because it turns out to be a safety hazard when they have to walk into the street.
But if it's growing vines up to people's houses, there's not a lot that we can do. It's up to the homeowner to do that. Now, if it pulls their gutters down or breaks windows, then we can do something because the code addresses that.
Okay.
But until it does, there's really not much code enforcement can do with the codes that are there. It's just grass. If you have a tree that's leaning over and limbs are over on your neighbors, all I can do is send you a letter and tell you need to get it done. And
I'll call you about the house.
Okay.
Jennifer, let's keep going through the slides.
Oh, okay. So miscellaneous, as I said in the beginning, with the farm animals, we've had a lot of questions on that, the number of dogs and cats. I think I touched on everything regarding that. The legal process, John did talk about that in regard to how we go about it when it comes to getting the summons out. We're at the mercy of the court.
we did touch about that,
Yeah.
where we are at the mercy of the judge. I had 2 today that finalized that started back in September, and it has taken us till now to get it all settled out. And both of those were I will say it's a miracle happened. And 2 miracles
Well, we'll
happened.
get to those pictures. If you want to fast forward to those pictures, that'd be great. Because I've touched on, I think, everything else as we've been talking.
I mean, there was a lot that we would like to do, but we are tied to what the court does and how
Okay.
slow the court does it.
So I'll let John talk about this case, because
This
John's
is,
the one who represents
this is
us.
up on Girard Street. The picture on the left was before, and the picture on the right is after. This was today. I won't give a name, but I don't want to pinpoint anybody. But he did clean up, and his backyard has been cleaned up. If you'll go to the next one.
But you started on that one, John.
Back in September. Well, we started actually
July.
one of the first weeks that I was here. Miss Burcham and I rode around, and yeah, it was July the 3rd. We rode around, and this was one of the 2 cases that I really wanted to get into because they were the 2 worst ones that we had in town. But it has just now, here it is, the end of February, getting settled. But we settled it, case is closed. This man paid a $500 fine, and the case was closed. That kind of motivated the cleanup. Finally.
And he cleaned up the day before court.
It was the one across the alley on
We'll get to
Brussels
that one in
Street.
a minute.
That closed today, but this was open storage. This is an example. The picture on the left is the cars in the yard being exposed without any tags or anything on them. Sent them a letter, took them to court. They put up the shield, they put up a fence, and they put the tarps over it so we can't see it. So there was another win right there. Just some cars that we towed around town.
That was in an alley and on the side of the road.
And this was my case today.
That's fine.
I just run this by council here. This was before, you'll just pass that along. And you can look at these. And this was today, the same spot right there.
This is the one that did it the day before court.
This one?
Yes.
And this was the truck that they loaded up yesterday to go to court today. That's the county truck that comes, and they'll park the county truck and they'll load it all up. But
That's today. That was yesterday.
so we have made some good strides. There's still a few places in town that I would still like to hit, and I'm going to serve those summonses or get those summonses put out. But it does take time. And I appreciate you understanding that we want to make the town look good, that's for sure, especially what comes into town on the roads. But it's a slow process. It's not an overnight process. It's not a week process. Sometimes it takes months.
And we try to not overload to get, if you have 10 cases at a time, it's almost impossible to manage all that. So we do try to take the worst, and now we're going to get another 4 or 5 summonses out to get those. They've already been notified, they've already not responded to the letters. We check twice a week on those properties. We haven't been contacted, so he's going to start on, go before the magistrate to get those summons out as well. That's basically it in a nutshell. I'm sorry I had to rush through the end of that, but...
Anything else you would like to ask?
I do think what we need to remember with all of this is that people often live on either side of these properties, and they take care of their properties, and we get lots of complaints from individuals who don't like those eyesores on one side or the other of their property, and none of us want to live in those conditions, and none of our residents should have to live in that condition. So in addition to enforcing the code, which is what Jennifer and John are doing, we hopefully are improving the value and continuing the value of the properties that we have here in town. Many of you had talked, and as we went through the goals, about beautification and wanting to clean up the town, and we thought it would be appropriate to spend some time sharing with you the process that we have to go through. And you're welcome to identify additional properties that John and Jennifer can take a look at. I apologize that I was not in the room when she started, but I do want to mention that code enforcement is only one aspect of Jennifer's role. That she has many other hats that she wears as the community development director, but this one has been almost all-consuming as we've tried to do a lot of catch-up in trying to improve the appearance of the town.
This code enforcement job couldn't be done without finance, without the girls in the office, Leanna, Angela.
Leela, Public Works.
Yep, Leela, Public
The guys
Works.
in Public
Because
Works.
I have to go and find who owns the house, who's paid the water bill, is there power on, is there water on, and try to find out who owns these. And they do this work for me and give me the information. So I couldn't do this job by myself. It's a help from all, Ms. Bertman and everybody in the office downstairs we're all tied together to do this job, to get it done.
We thank you very much for the work you're doing. It's well appreciated. It pays benefits bigger than what you'll realize.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know Jennifer does too. I appreciate it, but sometimes it's just a slow job, and you beat your head against the judge when he just keeps extending, instead of just saying, wham, $500, thank you very much, have a nice day. He tries to placate everybody. So, and I understand his position too, but I just want council to know that we are trying, and it's an ongoing process, and we appreciate it.
What other hats does Jennifer wear?
She is actually in charge of planning and zoning. She's the staff person to the Architectural Review Board and to our Parks and Trails Committee, staff to the Planning Commission, and I think you all know we're going through the comprehensive plan right now. I've also asked her to get involved in some of the marketing of properties that we have here in town. And her major next project, and I need to give her a deadline on it, is for us to try to address the issue of identification of house numbers in the town, because that's becoming a major issue for our law enforcement and fire and rescue personnel. People don't have either the right size numbers or have them in a way that they are visible at night. And the absence of that is making it difficult for our responders to get to the proper homes at the right time. So that's an issue that we're going to be addressing over the next several months, and hopefully we'll be able to get people to reasonably comply with that, because it's for their own safety. And
Well, it'd be nice to have street signs that you can see too, because mine, you can't even see it. The street sign.
the street signs
It's
itself.
rusted up.
Well, we'll take a look at that one. I think the council's aware of the fact that we are having repainted the
Yeah.
historic signs, and that's a slow task
Yeah, they
as
look
well.
good
But
though, Angela.
we'll take a look at
Yeah,
that.
she's
Yeah.
doing a great job.
Yeah, they look.
And there's some other things that I'd like to do as some of the fire-wise with the wildland fires, getting that out to our community. I would like to work with the community a lot more as well. So I have some plans to do that also. So
The other
we're hearing about those.
Yeah, the other program is rental inspection, because we're in our third rental inspection.
Okay, I didn't know